through the years, you have been a proponent and advocate of training.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you and I have talked about this through the years, and the way you've helped me with my business. That there are a lot of people out there that are maybe a lot smarter than I am about some of these things. And so, what is some of the stuff that you've invested in? I feel like that's another really important piece, particularly for small business owners, is to invest in yourself in terms of training and understanding how to be a better leader.
Well, I found out a lot of things late in my life after messing a lot of things up, I feel like. And so I'm not like I did a Clifton's strength analysis, which is just one of those things that tell you about yourself. And I knew it all along, but one of my top 2 or 3 is learner. I like to learn new things, and that gives me energy. But I was probably 12, 13 years into kind of running a company and had my head down, just grinding away at just day to day, trying to make it work, and wasn't learning anything, and realized I really just kind of had an epiphany and just said, I'm not smart enough to be doing what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing it, but there's other families responsible. I'm responsible for other families, and they're counting on me, and I'm just not that smart at some things.
Yeah.
And I have pride like everybody else does, but I don't have a lot because I've just had a lot of things go poorly. And so that tends to wring the pride out of you over time. And so I just kind of reached a point. I was like, I've got to learn. I got to, where can I go? And Dave Ramsey does an EntreLeadership. It's kind of a, just part of his program that's part of his empire. And he takes entrepreneur and leadership and kind of combines it and has these events. I went to one. He has speakers, and it forces you to read. It forces you to take notes. It forces you to invest. Mm-hmm. These are, whatever, $1,500 to get in one, and you got to pay to get there. And I'm one of the people that if I'm going to give you my money, because I think I'm frugal. My wife would say I'm cheap. But I'm frugal, like
tight
would be that's a great title. But if I'm going to invest, I'm going to go do it well. And I went to one. I started, reading the books of the authors that were there. I saw John Maxwell there, who's a leadership guy.
He's like preeminent
leadership guy. I mean, he's written, probably over 100 books, I would guess, over time. And so I just went down this path probably for 5 years, really deeply in trying to get better and trying to eliminate the blind spots that I had, either in just my personal skill set. What am I really bad at that I could get better at? Hiring better, how to manage people better. And what I really found, which was enlightened me at the time, is that you can get better. That if you intentionally, it's just like with anything else. And that, hey, if you lift weights, you'll get stronger, or if you do dribbling drills, you'll get better at basketball. It's like, okay, I can actually read, listen to podcasts, go see people, and I can be a better husband. I can be a better father. I can be a better business manager, a better investor. All those things are available. And I think just as we get beaten down over time, as we get older, we forget that it's okay for us to learn, for us to invest in ourselves, for us to spend money on ourselves to get better. And for me, it really was a fork in the road. And I plan on doing that really forever.
It's interesting. I just heard something the other day that stuck with me about just kind of culture in general today versus a generation ago maybe, and how so many people are afraid to be a beginner at something.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're afraid to be a newbie. They're afraid to be a novice. They don't want, and there's something that's so, I look at so much just from a sports standpoint, from my background, there's something that's invigorating about that. Like, it's not always the best thing to show up and already have it figured out. And there's so much you can learn by learning. And when you're a beginner at something, when you're willing to kind of humble yourself a little bit and say, hey, I need to get better in these areas, or if you don't even know what areas, to be able to go and say, let me figure out where my blind spots are, where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are. There's so many tools out there that give you access to that.
And I would say back to my business, probably one of the greatest advantages to have a young person come into my business like my son, who I do think is really smart. He's college educated. His degree was in supply chain. And he worked in supply chain at CommScope. So he had experience. He'd done plant audits but he comes in to, at that point, a 28-year-old older business, and just started saying, why would you do this way? And I was like, that's a great question. And I personally like change, sometimes just for the sake of change, but I really like change.
That's not healthy.
It's not healthy. But if I think it can bring like 1 degree of improvement, I'll change it.
Yeah.
And so just somebody looking at it and asking the questions, because you get blind.
Sure.
You do things the same way. You know. So I think for me, those are all, and I still find myself tending to go back to an old habit and not hey, it's time to
comfortable.
Let's get a new, who's a new author, who's a new, and I've read a few things and gotten really interested in those, and so it's sparked some of that again.